True. So when I was living in Lowell and I used to go to HKD for medicine, there was another older girl in her 30s, maybe 9 years older than me. Very broken, heavy set, comes from a lot of abuse, on a lot of medications that she's convinced that she needs, but when she takes them, she gets fucked up. She's mixing her meds around. She definitely got screwed up by the system. And she doesn't know what to do about it, and she's not getting the help she needs, and she doesn't want the help she needs. Okay. Anyways, um, she picks up my meds sometimes when I don't have an ID, and when she doesn't have an ID, I pick up her meds. One day, we're both in Rite Aid getting our meds, not together, both different spots. Just happened to be in the same store. Oh, please excuse me. My kidneys are failing. My GI hurts. I can't stand up. I've had 25 years of shake seizures. Pictures of me anywhere from age 7 to now look like I'm dying and look like I'm a skeleton that's barely alive. And now it's time for me to suffer and die for somebody else's choices. But anyways, give me a second and I'll continue what happened. So, we're in the store, Rite Aid, and we're picking up our meds, and she steals some. Okay. So the girl steals something, but I'm outside smoking a cigarette at the time. I don't know if she's stealing incense or what she's doing. I already got my meds. I'm going home. She comes out of the store and decides to tell me that she stole incense. Now, there's only one guy there that's a nice guy that seems good, and the rest don't seem that solid of people to me. But that doesn't mean that I can't teach this girl to be a good person. And I decide to think to myself, I go, well, she's doing it for the rush. She doesn't need any incense. She's doing it for kleptomania, and she's also drugged up on meds that has interfered with her impulse control. Because when she's not all drugged up on pills, she doesn't steal. She doesn't want to steal, and she can control it. But when she's on things like benzos or kleptopins, or that's the nickname for Klonopins, kleptopins, it's a known side effect that when you take too much benzos that you steal. It's an actual side effect of the medication. I don't know why. I've never taken that high doses to experience this myself, but I've seen at least 20 people go through this. So it is a real side effect. And I do know that medications can interfere with impulse control ability. So when she's on her medications, she steals stuff. When she's off her medication, she controls it. But I try something different. Instead of trying to play therapy or do anything, because I don't do that unless they ask. If you ask me, I'll point you to a doctor or I'll try to just sit there and listen. But this time I go, hey, a friend of mine's in there. Can we just go in there and bring that back? If you admit that you just took it and you're weak for a moment, I guarantee you they let you back in. They're surprised by it, and you'll get a great rush out of it too, of being a good person. You know that feeling you got from swiping that off the shelf? Yeah? Well, you're going to get that same feeling from doing a good deed, and that good deed is taking responsibility for your actions. So let's try it. She was a little bit skeptical. She got a little upset. Then I told her, I promise you, if you get any trouble, I will take full blame and I will step in. Nobody shall dare arrest you for going in and taking responsibility. That is not the point of this right now. I said, in the future, that might happen, but I doubt it. If you're honest and you take responsibility and you're a good person, God will look out for you. She was skeptical, but she agreed, because this is somebody who relies on me. For some reason, when it comes to mentally ill people, I'm very good with them. Very, very good with them. Always have been. People who their families have abandoned them for years and want nothing. Nobody will ever touch them with a 10-foot pole. I come around and they're in housing, they're doing better, and people say, how did this isn't the same Raymond we saw last year. Yes, it is. This is a Raymond who's getting the care he needs. Anyway, so And when I mean by care what he needs, I mean somebody just going, hey, you have a hernia, you need to go to the emergency room. No, I don't want to. That wasn't an option. You're going to the emergency room. Come on. I don't care. You're going. And then you go to the emergency room and they get hernia surgery and they're all better. The workers don't care. The workers don't care if they see something hanging there in the knees that look like giant testicles and it's really just the intestines hanging down because the person needed hernia surgery for years. They're not going that extra mile. You need a doctor. You need to go to the emergency room. I don't want to go. No, you're going. This isn't a yes or a no. You might work with your worker. Maybe your worker will leave your intestines down at your knees, but I'm not. You're getting the help you need now. Anyway, so this girl just stole an incense. So I bring her back in. I knock on the door for the management. We go in, and she says, "I'm so sorry," and she's so having so much. I took this. I know I shouldn't have. And the people go, "What? This 39-year-old woman is just coming right back in to admit that she stole something?" And they say, "Okay, well, we're glad that you came back in. That we've never seen this before. We really appreciate that." She goes, "Am I banned from the store?" They go, "No, you're not. You were. We had the camera of you stealing it, but now, no. You're welcome to come back in. And so is your friend." And then she left, but I went back in and told, "Oh, I got to grab something." So I went back in and had a chat with them. And they said they already knew she was stealing before that. They said they had her on camera stealing 3 other times. But because she's mentally ill and they were small items, they were not going to do very much, but they will have her removed if they catch her again, like they did 3 days ago, or they said the third time. I don't know what this third time was. I only know the incense time. I have no clue that this is an ongoing issue with Rite Aid and her mental health and her medication. All I know is that when she's on her medication, she can't control her impulses. When she's off of her medication, she can. She doesn't want to steal from Rite Aid. She just can't control those impulses because she's on too much drugs. Well, I told her a way to fix that. Don't steal. Help somebody. You have an impulse to take something. Remember, you have to go and return that. So instead, why don't you try to help somebody in line? Use an ID. You'll get that same impulse rush. And why don't you try to focus on why that is? Why, when I take all my medication, do I have less ability not to steal? Meanwhile, when I'm not on my medication or when they wear off, I do better. There's a lot of people struggling in Massachusetts with this. You got 40-year-olds who will never work a day in their life, but as soon as they drop the medications, they improve so much. So much. Not all of them. There are some very necessary medications, and disclaimer, don't stop taking your medication. You need to spend a lot of time understanding your health, your body, and what doctors are doing for you. And keep in mind, some doctors are very helpful, but other doctors are feeding you shit. So it's up to you to be your best doctor. There's an old saying, a doctor's only as good as the information you give him, meaning that most likely you are going to be giving the doctor all the information that he'll be using. Not just that. If the doctor does not choose to use your information, then you're going to not get proper care. It's up to you to identify that a doctor is not giving you the proper care. If you're getting a medicine like Seroquel and you feel like you're dying at night, you're waking up with hangovers, your heart is beating out of your chest, and you've told your doctor for years, like I did, this is bothering me, this is bothering me. This med that's supposed to help me sleep is making me so scared, my heart race, feel like I'm going to die by morning, that I literally can't sleep like that. So he ups the dose and tells me to wait another year. I take it and I get worse. I should have identified that this doctor was no good. He was not listening to any of the side effects I was explaining to him. He kept on pumping more medications when I was saying I was having side effects to the medications I'm on. This is not how I needed care. I needed the meds to go down so they could see improvement. As soon as we lowered or came off of the medication, they would see what they see now. A large improvement in speech, no depression. I mean, yeah, what I'm talking about is crazy with my mother. Oh my God, that's PTSD shit. I mean, oh my God, no mother should ever be treating her child like that. If you looked at pictures of me at childhood, you would be like, oh my God, you look like you're dying. Well, there's a very good reason for that, and it hasn't stopped yet. Until somebody steps in and my mother can no longer hurt me, I'm going to continue to be refused medical care and be malpracticed. I'll continue to not get the help I need with the seizure disorder in my spine, the limbs, the neuropathy or the numbness in the hands, feet, the GI bleeding internally, the kidneys. And until I get help with stuff like that, there won't be any better me. And not just that, I can't get that help while my mother's statements are still out there making walls. When somebody spends 15 years covering up their mistakes, it's very hard to get that undone, especially with no money. Think about this. My mother spent 15 years covering up her mistakes, hurting a child, and moving me from state to state, but also had a lot of money to do so. Now you got a guy who's crippled, who can't walk, can't write, can't speak half the time, can't go out in the cold, can't drive, with barely any money, taking care of an elderly person, and he's supposed to undo everything that woman did so he can get proper medical care, or at least not undo it, or at least get help to fix the discrepancies in it, or at least get the medical records fixed, because they're everywhere and none of them make sense. They're contradicting statements, that they're messed up. They just think it's a bunch of nonsense, because it is. But they don't know where the nonsense is coming from. They have no idea. All they know is Zach's record looks like nonsense, so he must be a hypochondriac. No, I told you, all that shit is bullshit from the beginning. That's my mother's bullshit. Whatever's on my file at age 8, I'm not the one who said it. All these established illnesses, I'm not the one who established them. Keep that in mind. These were established at a young age, and I did not establish them. My mother did. But the doctors look at these records and they think, oh, Zach must have established all these records, and they don't seem true. They're all over the place. So he must be a hypochondriac, right? No. All that bullshit from childhood, all this, bipolar, not bipolar, depressed, not depressed, he needs this medication, no, he doesn't, yes, he does, no, he doesn't, yes, he does. All that confusing stuff the doctors see that go on from age 7 to 25, something like that, that they just are like, no, these are contradicting statements. They can't be true. They're right. They aren't true. My mother was lying. I'm trying to get help. But they won't even start the process because they think I'm a psych patient who's a hypochondriac that just wants attention the minute I walk in. Before I even get seen, they're already trying to turn me around out the door. I'm literally not even at the desk yet, and they're trying to turn me around and send me to the door. Of course they are. They think I'm one of these homeless people coming in because I want to get out of the cold or something. Meanwhile, all I want to do is get better so I can go back to work and help others. It's so fucked up, our healthcare system. They cripple people and then don't want to get them better. I mean, really, who gave the medication to my mother that hurt me? Who decided that my mother was capable of giving me those medications? Who put me in that mother's care? I mean, I wasn't born to her, so who decided that she was okay to have another child? Who made these decisions when she was acting crazy not to report them? Who made the decision not to bring me to the emergency room? Who made the decision to allow me or move me around the country? So that way it would be, none of my records would be established. Nobody was moving them. No, the same doctor that spoke to me at age 5 didn't speak to me at age 7. The doctor that spoke to me at age 7 didn't see me at age 10. And oh my God, am I hurting? I can't continue. Anyways, so that girl was allowed to come back to the store. She liked it. And she never, as far as the year after that, she never stole from Rite Aid again. As far as I know, for a year. Well, maybe other stores, but that store, she built a good relationship, and she didn't get thrown out. And that was close to her house too, so because she was on Section 8 housing, where if they would just stop drugging these people could work. But don't forget, this woman also has no family and was born in an orphanage. She also was taken from her parents and grew up in foster care and orphanages. That's where we related. It's funny. A lot of these kids who are struggling with drugs or medication issues, they all come from orphanages. It's so weird. Every single, I mean, the shelter is full of them. Why is it that every orphan that was taken from their mother in Massachusetts in Lowell is all struggling with pill issues from doctors? Why is it that when they take their meds, they have side effects that make them worse? Why is it when they stop taking their meds, they can hold a job better? Why is it that there's so many of these people? I mean, you got Jasmine, you got the girl who stole, I was just talking about, sorry, her name starts with an M. You got my girlfriend who actually came from another country, Ang Lee. You got Gabby. You got Katie. All of us came from this. I went to school with a lot of them. They're all struggling with drugs in one way or another, and it all came out of doctors over medicating or still over medicating them. And some of them, as soon as they stop over medicating themselves, they get way better. And there's a lot of them down there. Oh my God, so many people suffering. We need a support group for these people badly. Now, luckily, I've already moved past that. I already know how to make myself better. If I don't want to be depressed, don't take depressants. If I don't want to look bipolar, don't take uppers and downers. Okay, I kind of got a clue. But these people don't have a clue yet. They don't know what's going on with them. They haven't talked to doctors about it. They haven't had conversations about what the symptoms that they have when they're on their medication. And some of them are given controlled substances and don't want them to go away because they're selling them or abusing them. So they keep all the scripts that are hurting them because they're afraid if they speak up about the Thorazine, they'll take away the Ativan. And they do too. I've known at least 2 people that said they did not want to take the antipsychotics, so they took away their controlled substances and left them on the antipsychotics. Doctors are acting very inappropriately with these medications in Massachusetts. If somebody asks to be taken off their antipsychotics, you should not take them off their controlled substances just because they're asking for that. Like for one time, I got put on a opiate blocker through HKD. And my other doctor, my primary care, discontinued half of my medications for no reason other than he said he thought I was going to sell them. I said, why do you think I'm going to sell them? Why would you think that? I've never sold a drug in my life. He goes, because you just started with another doctor and now you're getting prescribed buprenorphine and naloxone. I said, yeah. Well, how does that mean I'm going to sell them? Well, most people who go to those clinics, or at least half of them, like selling their medication. Okay, well, I'm not, and I'm willing to give you a urine proving it. Yeah, we know you're not, but still, we don't want to chance it. What type of health care are you giving the people? They ask to be taken off their antipsychotics because it's causing harm to their body, and you take them off other medications that are helping them. And this wasn't me, but they've done similar stuff. When I go help, like I want naloxone every day, they take me off half my medication, other medications, by the way. These aren't even medications worth money. So it makes no sense. You got gabapentin and clonidine. You got a blood pressure medication, and you got one helping with the shakes, anxiety, stuff like that. And he says he thinks I'm going to sell them. I said, why? Because I just started with another clinic. I'm like, okay, well, that's fine. The worst thing about it too is this isn't my primary care. Sorry, this is a psych doctor. He's giving me the clonidine and the gabapentin for the shaking and the anxiety. Now, it doesn't help with the shaking because that's in my nervous system and a numbness of the skin. That's permanent. I mean, it helps a little, but it does. The anxiety goes completely the way, and the shakes stay. It doesn't matter. The shakes are permanent. I could be playing video games and a flashing light will make me shake. I got numbness in my hands that all the time. 25 years, 24 hours a day. My palms are always dropping stuff. This is in the nervous system. But it took me a while to figure this out with doctors playing games, like switching medications around for no reason other than their own fantasies. And yes, if you are coming up with fantasies like, my patient is going to he's going to sell medication because he's seeking other doctors' help, that's a fantasy. If your patient comes in and goes, I don't want to take Thorazine anymore because I think the side effects are hurting me, and you take them off all their controlled substances because they made that statement. Again, And if a patient comes in going, the Seroquel's giving me horrible side effects, and I feel like something's going to happen to me in the middle of the night and I can't sleep, oh, let's go up and wait another year. These are very bad decisions, and they're very common in Massachusetts. I also see a lot of patients who are being over medicated, but the doctors are know it. That's the weird part. A lot of these doctors know their patients are being over medicated, but continue. And so that's why I would really like to build a support group for these people down in South Carolina. But first, I need to get my physical health under control. I got my mental part under control, thank God. I mean, these kids don't even know what it's like to have a mother hold, or so I should say, mother put you in a hospital and then be held down and be injected with medications. They don't know what it's like to have a mother give you medication, give you an overdose, wake up with your body being different, and never get help with it. A lot of these people don't have it that severe, but because I did, and I'm having to process and move past it, but these people have something I've already recognized, they can come into a support group and pour their hearts out and feel better to me, because I don't see any other support groups for these people. And there needs to be. There needs to be a support group for these doctors over medicating and hurting these children. They start out at orphans. There's nobody looking out at them. They start out at 5 years old and doctors get their hooks into them. And by the time they're 15, they're psychotic, drugged up on pills and can't do class work. They can't work. I've seen hundreds of these kids go through this in orphanages, in schools, in programs. And some of them really need the medication. Like there was a schizophrenic across the hall that needed schizophrenic medication. But I also met at least 3 other kids that were not schizophrenic, used to scream, I don't hear voices, leave me alone, please stop drugging me, leave me alone. And then they would force the medication down their throat. And then the kids would look sick all day long. These are orphans with no parents that are being allowed to go through this. Why? Because the doctors are not seeing these kids. They're just writing issue schizophrenic medication. Boom. And then the staff members who are 19 are just following instructions. They're just doing their job. They haven't been trained to identify medical issues in a child and report them down the line. That's a mother and father's job. If your kid is having a reaction to a medication, it needs to be identified and brought to the emergency room. But in these orphanages and these programs, a lot of these staffs are not trained as doctors or nurses. And so and even if they are, sometimes they'll think they'll get in trouble for it. Oh, I'll get in trouble for it. So they do nothing. It's a really hard situation for a minimum wage worker to be in. And they aren't. So that's why you don't medicate children who don't have parents. But they do. And a lot of these doctors are doing horrible stuff to these kids with no money, no parents. And I've seen horrors, and I'm listening to horror stories, and there needs to be a support group. So I need to get better. I need to get my health better. I need my kidneys fixed. I need my intestines fixed. And then I need to move down south after I get documentation of my neurological disorder. And then I got to work real hard so I can help other people. And I got to make sure nobody else ever hurts me again. So I got to move someplace kind of away from the bullshit society, in other words, because it's a lot of brokenness right now. So it's best to be right on the outskirts, like have a little bit of land, live in a yurt, keep a little savings in different forms, savings in food, savings in money, savings in gold, whatever I can. That way, if one doesn't work, I can go to the other, because there's a lot of systematic issues right now.